Okay, so you know how it is sometimes. Your head's just buzzing with ideas, like so many things you want to do, projects, skills to learn. Feels like you're right there on the edge of something cool.
Hmm.
But then it's like hitting a wall. You start thinking through every little detail, every possible thing that could go wrong, and suddenly it's all just complicated.
Yeah, that excitement turns into overwhelm.
Exactly. And before you know it, you haven't actually started any of them. Maybe you've even jumped to a completely new idea already. If that sounds familiar, especially if you're just a naturally curious person, then yeah, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Right. Today we're looking into a whole bunch of interesting stuff around learning, mindset, productivity.
Mm.
We've got ideas about how your basic beliefs can actually shape how you learn,
Oh, interesting.
how quickly you can actually pick up new skills, surprisingly quickly sometimes.
Okay.
Also, the psychology behind why we put things off.
The classic procrastination battle.
That's the one. And some really practical ways to learn better and just, well, get moving.
Yeah. Because that's the mission here, isn't it? We want to figure out why this happens, this whole cycle of getting excited, then overthinking, then changing course, and more importantly, give you some solid ways to like cut through that noise and actually start doing the things you're interested in. Okay, let's get into it.
So a really big piece of this, I think, comes down to how we see ourselves, our own abilities. Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset, it introduces this really powerful little idea, the word yet.
Ah, yeah, the power of yet.
Exactly. In her study, she looked at kids facing really tough problems. And some kids, they sort of leaned into the challenge. They saw it as a chance to, get better.
That's the not yet thing, right? Like, I haven't figured this out yet. It
Yeah.
makes failure feel temporary, not permanent, changes the whole game.
Precisely. But then there was this other group, the ones with what she called a fixed mindset. For them, struggling felt like proof they just weren't smart enough.
Oof. Like a judgment.
Yeah, exactly. If they didn't get it right away, it wasn't just, I can't do this task.
Hmm.
It was more like, I'm not capable. They get stuck in what she calls the tyranny of now, this immediate limiting view of what they can do.
And you can see how that tyranny of now connects to overthinking, can't you? I remember she talked about kids who'd rather cheat after failing, or they'd look for kids who did worse just to feel better.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's all about dodging that feeling of not being good enough right now.
Yeah.
And could that be why someone keeps switching plans? Like, is it a way to avoid ever really bumping up against that not yet phase?
That's a really sharp connection. And there's brain science that backs this up too. Studies show that when people with a growth mindset make a mistake, their brains light up in areas involved with learning from errors. They're like processing it.
Okay.
But with a fixed mindset, that activity is way lower. It's almost like the brain sees the mistake as a dead end, not feedback.
So, thinking about you listening right now, if you're the one overthinking jumping from plan to plan, is it possible that you're kind of dodging that initial discomfort, that feeling of being a beginner? Are you so caught up in wanting to be good now that you stop yourself from ever starting the process?
It's a really important question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
If the real driver is that fear of not being instantly skilled, well then the constant churn of new ideas makes perfect sense as a way to avoid it.
And this fear, this not wanting to feel incompetent right at the start, it connects really well with Josh Kaufman's stuff, his first 20 hours idea. He basically argues you can get surprisingly decent at something new with just 20 focused hours.
Yeah, and what's key about Kaufman's take, especially for this conversation, is how much he stresses the emotional side of learning. He says the biggest hurdle usually isn't your brain power.
Huh?
It's that initial feeling of just being completely clueless and awkward when you start out, that feeling stupid phase.
Oh, totally. You're clumsy, you make silly mistakes, it feels awkward, it's not fun. And yeah, you can totally see how someone prone to overthinking might just stay in the research phase forever, looking for the perfect way in, or jump ship to avoid actually doing it and feeling that way.
Exactly. And look, feeling awkward at first is totally normal. But if you let that feeling stop you by constantly shifting gears, you never push through it.
Yeah.
You never get to the good part, the part where you actually start seeing progress.
Okay. So fear of feeling stupid, fear of not being good yet, that fuels the overthinking, the plan hopping.
Sure.
So how do we break that cycle? The Easy Actually channel talks about a productivity cycle. What's that about?
Right, the productivity cycle, it's pretty simple, really, but powerful. The idea is feeling motivated makes you work. Doing the work makes you feel good, accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling accomplished boosts your motivation again. So it's this positive loop. It builds on itself.
Makes sense. But
Yeah.
what if you don't have that initial motivation? Like, you're stuck in the overthinking swamp, the cycle can't even start.
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And their advice is super direct. Just start. Even for 1 minute.
Yeah,
Just start.
1 minute, seriousness.
Seriously. The act of doing, even something tiny, can be enough to kickstart that cycle. It generates a little bit of that motivation you were missing. It's about fighting that inertia, that stuck feeling.
Huh. So all that time we spend planning everything perfectly, the detailed outlines, the endless research that never lends to actually doing anything, that could actually be just another way to procrastinate.
It absolutely can be. Perfect planning becomes the enemy of starting.
Mm-hmm.
So the advice, really, for you listening is maybe try an experiment. Pick one plan, just one, and commit to doing one tiny, tiny piece of it.
Like really small.
Really small. Just see what happens. See if that little bit of action creates a little bit of momentum, pulls you into that positive cycle.
This whole thing, it reminds me so much of Tim Urban's stuff, the wait but why guy. His explanation of procrastination with the instant gratification monkey.
Oh, yeah, that's a brilliant analogy. So you've got the rational decision maker in your head, right? Wants to do productive, long-term stuff.
That grown up.
And then you've got the instant gratification monkey, who just wants what's easy and fun right now.
And the monkey usually wins, doesn't it? Leading you straight to the, what does he call it? The dark playground.
The dark playground, yeah.
Mm.
Where you're having fun, but it's unearned fun, and you feel guilty the whole time, scrolling, watching stuff. Whatever your go-to is when you're avoiding something important.
We've all got one of those playgrounds. Uh-huh.
And in Urban's model, the only thing that gets the procrastinator out of there is the panic monster. Suddenly, a deadline is really close.
And the monkey freaks out.
Exactly. Terrified. And that finally lets the rational decision maker take over again.
And this feels crucial for the overthinker, the plan shifter. Often these personal projects, the things we want to do, they don't have hard deadlines.
Precisely. No deadline, no panic monster.
So the monkey just stays in charge indefinitely.
That can absolutely happen. You end up in this perpetual state of wanting to do something but never getting that urgent push.
Mm-hmm.
So the insight here, maybe, is thinking about how you can create some kind of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Fake deadlines, accountability partners, something to wake up that panic monster or at least quiet the monkey down.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got mindset, fear, the starting problem, procrastination. What about the learning itself? If you're constantly jumping between plans, you're probably trying to learn a lot of different things, right?
Yeah.
That sounds overwhelming, which probably feeds the overthinking too. Are there better ways to learn that help with that?
Oh, definitely. Feeling swamped is a big trigger. One really great technique is the Feynman technique, named after Richard Feynman, the physicist.
Some physicists, right? Great teacher.
Amazing teacher. And the core idea is simple. The best way to know if you really understand something is to try and explain it in super simple terms. Like explain it to a kid, basically.
Oh, I like that. It forces you to find the holes in your own understanding, doesn't it? If you can't say it simply.
You probably don't get it deeply enough yet. So the process is, explain it simply, notice where you get stuck, or use jargon, go back and learn those specific bits better, then try explaining again, keep refining. It breaks big, scary topics down.
That sounds way less daunting than trying to absorb a whole textbook at once. Elon Musk also has ideas about learning, right? Something about problems.
Yeah, Musk talks about teaching to the problem. Basically, instead of just learning general stuff, you learn specific tools or information when you need them to solve a specific problem you're facing.
Ah, so it's learning on demand, kind of more relevant.
Much more relevant. You see the immediate payoff, which makes it stick better and feels less like just collecting random facts.
Yeah.
Which, again, helps fight that feeling of being overwhelmed by just information overload.
Yeah, that aimless info gathering definitely leads to overthinking. And Matthias Pilhade, from that How to Learn video series, he suggests focusing on your biggest weaknesses first.
Right. Pilhade points out we often try to get good at everything all at once when learning a skill, which is just impossible and paralyzing.
Totally.
He says, figure out your biggest flaw, the thing holding you back the most, and focus your energy there first. It gives your learning direction, and you often see quicker improvements, which feels good and keeps you going.
And back to Musk for a second, he also talks about knowing the why, right?
Yes. Understanding why you're learning something is huge. If you know the purpose, how it connects to what you want to achieve, it makes the information relevant, boosts your engagement, helps you remember it. It stops feeling like just pointless effort that feeds the overthinking beast.
Okay, so better learning. Explain it simply, learn for a purpose, fix the big flaws, know your why. Got it. But what about actually making it stick? Turning plans into reality? Easy actually had something about practice, didn't they?
They did a really crucial point. If you don't use a skill, if you don't practice it, your brain basically decides it's useless information and, well, forgets it. You got to apply it,
Use it or lose it, literally.
pretty much.
Wait.
And they also brought up that 80-20 idea, the Pareto principle.
Yeah, like 20% of the effort gets 80% of the results.
Exactly.
Right.
Applied to learning, it means you don't need to know 100% of everything before you start doing. Focus on learning and practicing the crucial 20%, the core stuff, and that can get you a surprisingly long way. It builds confidence and gets you out of that "I need to be an expert first" trap.
That's actually really encouraging. Take some pressure off. What if you can't physically practice right away, though? They mentioned mental practice, too.
Mental practice or visualization.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly effective. Just mentally walking through the steps of doing something, practicing it in your head, it actually strengthens the neural pathways involved.
Seriously.
Yeah, so even when you can't physically do the thing,
Yeah.
you can still be practicing it mentally, keeping the momentum going in your mind. For an overthinker, that could be huge, mentally rehearsing that first small step without getting bogged down.
And Pilhade also talked about using analogies, right, to make things feel more real.
Yeah, he explained that when something feels really abstract, it's harder to grasp and remember. Using an analogy comparing the new abstract thing to something you already understand, something concrete, makes it feel more tangible, less intimidating. Helps pull it out of just pure thought and makes it easier to see how you might act on it.
Okay. Wow. So putting it all together, we've dug into why we get stuck in that overthinking inaction loop. It could be that tyranny of now, fearing we're not good enough yet.
Right, or Kaufman's emotional barrier, just avoiding feeling incompetent at the start.
Then there's the productivity cycle and how just one small action can kick it off. And understanding Tim Urban's monkey and monster helps explain why we procrastinate, especially without deadlines.
And better learning strategies, Feynman's explaining, Musk's problem focus, Pilhey's tackling flaws, they help manage the overwhelm and make learning stick.
And finally, practice. Actually doing it, even mentally, or focusing on the core 20% using analogies, that's what makes it real and builds confidence.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest takeaway, really, for you listening, is that moving from that overthinking place to actually doing things. It starts with embracing, not yet, believing you can
Keep
learn.
your growth mindset.
Exactly. Accepting that initial awkwardness is okay. It's part of it.
Yeah.
Using tiny steps to get the ball rolling. Finding ways to create your own motivation, your own deadlines. Learning smart, not just hard. And knowing that practice, any kind of practice, is what turns ideas into reality and builds the guts to keep going.
So here's your challenge then, a final thought. Just think about one thing. One tiny, almost laughably small step you could take today towards just one of those plans bouncing around in your head.
Doesn't have to be perfect.
Not at all. Doesn't need to be a big deal. Just one little action. Because that single step, as small as it seems, might just be the thing that flips the switch, moves you out of overthinking and into actually experiencing that power of yet, feeling that productivity cycle start to turn. And try, really try not to overthink this step. What's that first tiny action going to be?